Time is 7:01 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting of the mayor and town council for January 27th to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And actually, I'll have folks please remain standing for a brief minute. Last week, we lost a member of our fire department. Chief Joseph Pulaski passed away, and I think we did time to acknowledge his passing with a moment of silence. Thank you. Susan is not with us tonight. Jonathan, would you please do roll call?
I'd be honored.
Thank you.
Councilor Tia.
Here.
Councilor Gonzalez. Councilor Davis.
Here.
Deputy Mayor.
Here.
Mayor Tristan.
Here.
Councilor Pitt. Here. Councilor Patrick.
Here.
Councilor Bahas.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum. Moving on to approval of agenda. Have any changes? Anybody have any changes? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Flores, second by Councilor Tiniakis. Any discussion on approving the agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstained? Motion carries 8-0 with Councilor Gonzalez absent. All right, so moving on, tonight we have a presentation from our wonderful blight officer, Eric Hickley. He's going to give us the annual 2025 blight report. Eric, it's your show. Come on up.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Also, most of you I know in one form or another. Congratulations to the new council members here as well this evening. So I'll go through my typical spiel with the blight each year, just kind of how the process works. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free. So typically a complaint comes in either through Civic Plus, through the town manager's office, someone coming to the counter, leaving a phone message, etc. Form if they haven't filled one out, basically what the issue is and where the address is. I'll go do an inspection. If it's warranted, we move forward with the process. If not, I close it as being unfounded. So the process is a notice of violation goes out. Typically, they have 14 days to correct it. And I go back and re-inspect after the time period is over. It's not always on the 14th day. It might be on the 20th, depending on my level of being busy. Sometimes the issue is not a blight issue, but instead it's a zoning issue. And if that's the case, I take action that way by sending a notice of violation. Also, sometimes it's a sanitation issue. Typically, this occurs when somebody drags a couch out to the curb. Now it's in the public right of way and it's not on private property. And I've actually had cases where somebody said, no, that was dumped in front of my house. I didn't put it there. So that gets referred to sanitation. They have their own process of notifying the individuals and potentially picking it up and leaning the property. I'm not sure. Sometimes the question is an issue that I don't have any control over, such as a tree. Somebody's branch is hanging over somebody's house and they want it trimmed, from the neighbor. It's not a blight issue. It's not a zoning issue. It's nothing I have that can compel someone to cut a tree down. Sometimes it's a fence issue, or a property line dispute, which the town does not get involved in. And those are civic matters. So during an inspection, I always take pictures, even if it's unfounded. So I can just say, look, I don't see an issue. I think pictures get filed with the action and closed, and everything is tracked in our OpenGov system. Everything gets input there. So again, the notice of violation is sent. Typically, they have 10 days to take action. There's also an appeal period. If they respond that they want to appeal the citation or the notice of violation, I have to go through that process, which includes setting a hearing with one of the hearing officers in town. Have everyone come in, and then the hearing officer will make a decision based on whatever they hear. If the issue is not taken care of, then a blight citation gets issued. Again, it's a citation. Blights are usually $100 to start. And then they're given a date in there to take action to remediate the problem and pay the fine. If they don't, then typically I'll just let the fine stack up for 30 days, and then I'll have a hearing in front of the hearing officer, and they can choose to do what they want to do with the citation. And we filed a number of liens that way. That the action, they never took care of it, so we file a lien on the property for an amount. After that, if things aren't done, then the property would actually get placed on the actual blight list. And I have to meet with the town manager and the assessor and the finance director to determine, is it truly an issue we want to move forward with? Property gets placed on that list. Again, they have time to clean it up and move forward before the town eventually goes in and remediates the property and files the appropriate liens as needed. And that's kind of how it works. And the process can take sometimes just a notice, get somebody to take care of it. They didn't realize it, or we're going to do something, just didn't have time. Other times things just get dragged out and dragged out. And at times we can't end up in court for cases. Again, so just some general notes. Some complaints are deemed unfounded and just closed after the inspection or the complaint. Furniture, mattresses, et cetera, that are pulled down to the curb are again referred to sanitation because they are now in the public right of way. The complaints that are actually zoning issues are handled through zoning. Fence line issues, again, are not something that blight or zoning gets involved with. And again, notices and citations have appeal periods, which individuals can appeal those to the hearing officer. And other cases do end up in court. And sometimes we do have, it's in the notice of violation for blight, that if they have some specific type of other financial issues, they can reach out to the Human Services Department for potential volunteer work to help things get done, or financing, et cetera. And in those cases, if they do reach out, I kind of work with Human Services. We kind of extend timelines and see if what we can get accomplished. So notes from 2025 last year, the town remediated 2 properties in town totaling a little over $700. Both of those were overgrown properties, and both properties were also in foreclosure. So that also becomes problematic when you're dealing with a foreclosure company in San Diego or Utah, and nobody wants to reach out if they don't file they're supposed to, when they foreclose, supposed to file on the land records a local contact. Many do, many do not, or they leave some of the information just blank, so you don't know anyway. Currently, I have 1 open blight court case involving 2 properties in town, and that includes zoning issues as well. We currently have an order from the judge that has been appealed to the appellate court. Likely the appellate court won't hear this until spring or make a final decision until the fall, but we are still working on other avenues to pursue closure of this particular case. Complaints about rats and mice get referred to the CCHD, as they have the expertise in regards to, rat burrows and stuff like that. And they follow up in that case. Last year, we had 88 blight cases that were opened. 81 were closed. 7 are still remain open. And as previously stated, there were 62 registrations of foreclosure filed last year in Newington. Again, that's where they supposed to put the local contact for property maintenance, et cetera, on that. So there were 62 filed that I found. And let's see what else we got. The most common complaint received is typically for the tall grass. But as the way the ordinance reads, it has to be 1 foot high for 7 consecutive days. Obviously, I'm not out there measuring, on the 7th day or whatever, but I do a lot of it by eye. Some people aren't happy because they want me to cite someone because they didn't weed whack around the tree and there's a little ring of grass around it that's a little high. So again, I also believe you have a list of some of the properties that the blight complaints from this year. If there are any questions generally or on anything, please let me know.
Good questions. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Deputy Mayor Rada.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and
Thanks for
yourself?
coming and speaking with us. I know you do this on a yearly basis. One person's blight may not be someone else's, as you mentioned.
Yes, that is correct.
Is there any definition that you go by?
If I have a question, I'll get some opinions that people have worked in it before. I'll discuss with Jonathan as needed. Because this goes through his office. In the blight ordinance, the definition of community standard is a judgment by a reasonable member of the community.
Define reason.
We all think we're reasonable members of the community.
And again, like you said, someone is going to say that's not a problem, and other people are going to be very passionate about things. I mean, I've gotten complaints about my neighbor doesn't close his trash can. Okay, it's all the trash is stored in a receptacle. I don't have time to police that. But again, these are things that bother some neighbors. It's understandable, but.
It doesn't sound like this makes your job any easier.
Not always, no, but we work through it. I try and talk to the property owners or the tenants, whoever's there, about the issue. Typically, we can come to some kind of conclusion. Sometimes we don't, and it's a fight, but.
We appreciate all the work you do. It's not an easy task, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Councilor Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Eric, for coming.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it a lot. I just have one really quick question, which is about the lien. If you get to a moment
Mhm.
eventually in a case where you have to apply a lien, is it just for the amount of the fine or the fines that have accrued, or is there some?
So typically, it's just for the amount. And if we get a request for payoff of the lien, we usually include the marshal service fees as well from the attorney, and we can cover the costs of our attorney as well. And the language is structured in there, built in. So, a $700 lien may turn into $1,000, $1,200.
Yeah.
And that's so once we get that and everything's processed through, have the town attorney file the release of the lien on land records, and everybody moves forward.
Perfect. That was my only question. I'll just say, like Deputy Mayor Rada said, that obviously we really appreciate you coming as you do every year, but we really appreciate the work that you do and the job that you do. These can sometimes be kind of sensitive, testy situations. And I think it's a credit to you and the work that you do that we don't hear from a lot of residents that, they feel they're being treated unfairly. So you are very calm and even keeled in the way that you deal with a very difficult job. We're really grateful for it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Draco.
Yeah, you said the 7 open cases are listed on this. I notice there's 7 where that doesn't say that's closed.
Yes.
But some of them, well, I guess it's just one in my neighborhood I'm kind of curious about, but anyways.
Understood.
Okay, so these are the 7. I've heard you tell stories or something about sometimes you can't get on a property to confirm whether there's blight or not. What do you do in that situation?
So, again, I just can't march on somebody's property without their permission. I can knock on the door if they're, if I can see it from the road, typically a lot of the stuff is, the complaint is what I can see in the front. Other times neighbors invite me onto their property if they're the complainant, and I can try and view the issue if it's in a backyard or hidden or around a corner, whatever. And that's what I utilize as needed.
And you said that I'm kind of like surprised, but I guess there's no place else for it to land. Some of the calls you got, like an abandoned grocery cart,
Yes.
Halloween candy
Wrappers.
down the street.
Yes.
I can't believe Paul made you go out and investigate that. But,
On November 1st.
It was, yes. And it was
you
very windy, if we remember, on Halloween.
you had 88 blight cases open, but I'm just curious, I know you work a lot more on this issue. About how many calls do you normally get in the course of a year? I mean, 88, certainly more than 88.
Yeah, I get, in a month, I get 75 to 125 calls, just dealing, not all with blight, between blight, zoning, questions about property. So
It all kind of.
I would burn more time trying to figure out, okay, this one's for blight, this is, so I do kind of track my calls.
You have to respond to all of them, though.
Yep. And it does show up on the monthly report that we produce for the town manager's office, the number of calls that are received. And if I go out, may have done 25 inspections in a month. And again, I'm splitting this between zoning and blight. So right now, about 40 to 45% of my time is spent on doing just inspections for zoning and blight. Those two combined. I've kind of been tracking that for a little this year.
Wow. Okay,
So-
well, I think those are my questions,
Because-
but thank you very much.
No, because, I get the complaint, I have to write it up, I have to take pictures, put it in the system and either move forward with it or we close it, it all takes time. So.
Thank you.
Council Capella.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your report, Eric. I just had a question. When you do have to put a lien on someone's house, how long does that stay on there? Let's say they don't
So,
pay it.
so
Yeah,
the lien stays on the property until there's a property transfer, and then the town would recoup those funds at a closing.
Okay.
Basically, we'd be a lien holder at a closing, just like if you had a mortgage to pay off or a lien. A lot of the homes in foreclosure, typically they want to, when they get ready to sell it on a short sale or something, they try and clear off the liens and everything, so it's free and clear. So.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
From council? You're all set. So are you going?
Yeah, I
Council,
have some
there you go.
questions. Thank you for your report. I had actually 3 questions.
Sure.
You referenced in your report, property owners with financial issues are referred to human services. Can you explain a little bit about that? And is it because the individual can't afford to pay the fine that's imposed, or how does that work?
So I don't make the determination. There's a note basically in our notice of violation that says if you have some kind of financial issues or, physics, sometimes you have an 85-year-old woman or somebody in a house, they can't necessarily mow the grass, the grandson stopped mowing or whatever. So they can reach out to human services. Human services will let me know, hey, yes, so-and-so called and we're trying to work with them to get their issues rectified. So I make that as a recommendation as needed to help if needed.
Okay, I understand that one, but let's say we're talking about someone that's more able-bodied, has a,
If they, sometimes people already are a client at Human Services, so they can reach out to them and utilize them for whatever reason and try. They're not always going to do things if they have financial stuff. There was a case the year before last where Human Services was able to assist someone that we had done work at. I think there was a $1,200 lien. They had some funding left over from some of the cannabis money, and they paid off a portion of the lien, and the property owner did pay the balance, and we released that lien. So,
And in further down in your report, under 2025 blight notes, complaints about rats, and
Mhm.
you're referring to, you have an acronym, CCHD. What exactly does
that
that
is the
stand?
Central Connecticut Health District in Rocky Hill.
Okay. And my last question, I know an individual's perception of blight can be different, as you noted.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that a lot of the complaints you get have to do with, I mean, you could see it visibly from the street. But often, sometimes too, it's backyard issues. And so you indicated in one of your responses that you have to get permission from the property owner to go into the backyard and.
That's correct. And typically, if I'm knocking on the door, anybody from the town, they don't want anybody poking around on their property. So sometimes the adjacent neighbor or the abutting neighbor, if they made the complaint, they will invite me on their property to look over a fence or whatever and see what I can
And
see.
Do the complainants who call in or contact you remain anonymous, or are you obligated
So
to
if
convey?
they leave their name and number on a phone message or an email in an email, I put that on the document.
Okay,
I don't distribute it. If it's FOI, it,
I'm sure that the
it can be
cost-
received. And I had a couple that were FOI last year.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, just one last question from me. You just mentioned collaborating with human services. Are you contacted or do you get called in when there are hoarding situations? Because I know we've heard of these situations occurring.
Mhm.
This is a very difficult.
So I am a member of the Safe Homes Task Force, which deals with hoarding. Typically, my stuff is what I can visually see. Typically, fire marshal's office a lot of times gets the complaints. They're the ones that will go in. But if I suspect hoarding while visiting a property, I can report it. I'm a mandated reporter, actually. So, there are certain cues you look for going to a property. If you have the blinds pulled down, you can see stuff pushed against all the blinds upstairs and downstairs. Somebody, they come to the door and they close the door behind them, they come out, have a conversation with you. There are different things. And sometimes I reach out to human services like, oh yeah, we've had issues there in the past, and then we can kind of move that along. So and other times I actually, if the house looks suspect, the other things I have to deal with is sometimes I have to reach out to the police department to see if there's any open criminal things. And there's a couple houses in the past, they said, do not go there without police escort, period. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for being here, Eric, and thank you for all that you do. As indicated, as you stated, I mean, these are really 2 jobs that you do at least. So I think at least of the several that you do, so we appreciate all that you do for the town. And thanks for coming out tonight. And
All right.
Get home before it's too cold.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You too. All right. Moving right along, next on our agenda is public participation in general. If you are in the room or over Zoom and would like to speak in public participation, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. We will alternate between in the room and on Zoom. And we do have one on Zoom. Scott, can you unmute Ms. Lyons, please?
Sorry about that. The star 9s and star 6s are so close and my hands are so fat, I hit the wrong button. Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. Can you hear me? Did I unmute myself successfully? Hello?
Doesn't sound like you can hear us, though.
Now there, we can hear you.
Hello? You can hear me
Rose,
now?
we hear you.
Okay.
Yep, can you?
Sorry
can you hear
about
us?
that.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you. Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. I just wanted to thank Eric for the presentation. I've been watching these presentations either at town planning and zoning or at the town council for many years. And I think, well, I understand, maybe other people don't, but he did explain it tonight that these violations are complaint driven. I don't think that he goes around looking for violations, but I'm sure that as he goes around town, if there are, he takes care of what needs to be done. Many people on Facebook, I've noticed, complain about this, that, and the other thing. And I hope they're listening tonight to know that they can file a complaint. It can be anonymous if they wish, and that questions can be asked by Eric. He's always been very, very prompt in writing back to me, either through an email or a phone conversation. He'll call back, and I ask many questions, as he can tell you. Probably half his time answering questions about the blight are from me. But in any case, I just was going to mention also that, I don't know if he mentioned it because I've been in and out of the kitchen making my supper for myself. The town also has a program, it's housing rehab, and I call once a year, I think, and ask Janet Murphy about how much money is left in that, and are we eligible for more grant monies and things. And I think that's what Human Services uses sometimes also. I know I myself, being a low-income senior, don't always have the money to do what needs to be done. I try and keep the house up on the outside cosmetically. It needs a whole new redo, and I'd love to see the next person who comes in here and see what they do with it. But that being said, there's people that are my age, limited income, that these funds are available for, and maybe somebody can look into see if any of these grant monies or housing rehab might be available. I think that's one of the resources they use. I know you don't give the addresses of these people when you're giving the report to the town council, but I hope people are also aware that the monthly report is available on the website. I am assuming, and hope I'm assuming correctly, that the court case that you're mentioning for the two locations is Maple Hill Avenue and Day Street, because that came up just a week or so ago, again, on Facebook. I follow the court case and the judicial website. Not many people would do that, but I have the time and the inclination to do so because for 10 or 15 years, I've been following that through town plan zoning and the town council updates that come out. Once again, I just want to thank Eric for his report, and as always, a pleasure listening to it and hoping that things have slowed down a little bit for you. And maybe if the blight committee, I don't know if the subcommittee ever got together, they were talking about revising the rules. And isn't there a no May mow or no May mow or something like that where they let the grass grow? Maybe get a look. I'm sure you're lenient with those people, but let people know that these are some things that are happening around town, and it's not just that they're letting their grass grow for nothing. There's a purpose behind it. All right, be careful on your way home. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Anybody in the room? Please come on up.
I'm Lewis from 482 Churchill Drive. I'm just talking about the opposition to the red light cameras that was stated for the last thing. And then also it all of a sudden changed to speed cameras. And I actually do oppose of these things. I think they're not actually doing the safe. Middletown has run them for a while now. The only thing that we're hearing from these things is how much money is being generated to the police departments and the towns. I have not seen any results of reduced accidents. I know they have studies that say they're reducing speeders in those areas. I do not see them outside of those areas. I also see on Facebook now there's also people out there that are repeat offenders that are changing and making their license plates with different things to obscure them and everything else like that, so that they're not able to be found. So the people that are the most going to abuse this is going to be basically removed from them, because if they can't find the license plate, they're not going to get the tickets from it. The other thing too is that we've had officers, we've had a DOT officer, and we had a tow truck driver that have been dead. They got killed, and it was not because of speeding, it was because of driving underneath the influence of drug and alcohol. That is what I'm really scared about, is that this is going to reduce the amount of officers out there doing the patrols that would be able to find these things. So yeah, you might reduce some speeders, but then the people that are underneath the influence are not going to be caught. The other thing too is, and I have to be kind of honest here, I'd like to see what these speed cameras will do for people in emergency services. To be honest with you, I was in West Hartford. I know it's not Newington. I saw a police officer going 60 miles an hour down a 25-mile-an-hour road. I like to see if these things are being monitored. It was not monitored by the police department. And maybe if the citations are even found that if these officers are on patrol and they're not going to emergency situations, then they should get written up. And maybe that should be something that be underneath there. Because the police chief is all for them. And I think if that was put in there as a thing, I think the police chief would probably be a little bit backing off on these things. So that was all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Anybody else in the room or over Zoom that would like to speak in public participation? Seeing none. We didn't have any email correspondence, correct? No emails, no. Very good. All right, we will move on to remarks by councilors on public participation. Council Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two things. First, Rose, thank you for bringing up this senior home rehabilitation program. I know we've talked about this a little bit before and gotten some answers about how much money's left. There's not much money left, and we do need to get another grant. That's federal dollars, right? From
Correct, yeah.
Has there been any interest in applying for more? I mean, I know.
Yeah, so it's a revolving loan fund, and actually our Mr. Dixon is our kind of our administrator, in-house administrator of the program. He can speak to it more knowledgeably, but it is a revolving loan fund. So as people repay their loans or, houses are sold and the liens are paid off, the money just gets recycled.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I think, Paul, we do starting to have enough money for a couple more grants. Is that like 4 grants? I think we're sort of.
Projects in the timeline that can be put in about 4 projects.
Yeah.
Jonathan was saying, so about 4 projects we have already.
Yeah.
That's good news.
So I mean, you're right. I mean, it's a great program for what it is, limited, obviously in scope. I don't know to what extent, and probably right now, I'm guessing that there's not funding opportunities for infusions of federal money for this. But I don't know, are there ever opportunities when the federal government opens up the sort of new rounds of money available for the revolving loan funds, or?
I don't know if you want me to prepare something else for later too.
I mean, we certainly can, but
You want me to come up?
whatever you like. Matt, would you like Paul to?
That's quite all right. We
Yeah.
can go offline.
Yeah, but
I'll say, one question is there limited timeframes that folks are, I mean, I hate to ask this because it's a
sure.
service program. We shouldn't be on people to pay back the loan that they're applying to receive, but are there limited timeframes, for people to pay it back?
Well, so it's usually done as a lien against the property, so that when the loan is paid off when the house is sold. So that's really the idea is it's maybe a senior person on a fixed income that just simply doesn't have the money to replace their furnace or re-roof their house. That's how it's done.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll just also say, Louis, I appreciate the questions that you raised. I think a lot of them are really important and frankly, ones I hadn't thought of. So I won't project and we're going to have the discussion here, but I'm supportive of moving the process forward and going to RFP. But I would encourage staff, and certainly us here to take the questions that you raised under advisement of any vendor to ask those questions about how they deal with circumstances like that and how we can craft our policy here to account for some of those things. So thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other remarks? All right, seeing none. You will move on to consideration of old business. First on the list is 2024-2025 mid-year transfers. Counselor Plourd, would you please read the resolution or certification? There you go. So you're ready. There you go.
Certification. In accordance with Section 808 of the Town Charter, I hereby certify that there exists free from encumbrances in the following appropriations in general fund, the amounts listed below. Account number 960, title contingency, amount $61,078, signed Janet Murphy, Director of Finance. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby transfers the above certified funds to the following accounts in the general fund. Account number 120, title Town Manager, amount $6,288. Account number 170, title Town Clerk, amount $15,200. Account number 310, title Engineering, amount $10,000. Account number 450, title Building, amount $8,580. Account number 610, title Human Services, amount $6,000. Account number 830, title Grounds Maintenance, $15,010.
Counselor, motion by Counselor Floyd,
Second.
second by Counselor Draco. Any discussion on this? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries 8-0 with Counselor Gonzalez absent. All right, very good. Moving on to item 2. Budget schedule. Deputy Mayor Rada, would you please read that resolution?
Certainly. Resolved that the Newington Town Council pursuant to section 805 of the Newington Town Charter will hold 2 public hearings on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2026-2027. These public hearings will be held at 6 p.m. in the town hall unless otherwise indicated as follows. Tuesday, March 10th, 2026, Town Manager's proposed budget. Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, Town Council's proposed budget.
Second. Motion by Deputy Mayor Rada, second by Counselor Floyd. Any discussion on the budget schedule? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries 8-0 with Counselor Gonzalez absent. Food old business. Moving on to tax refund. Counselor Draco, would you please read that resolution?
Resolved that property tax refunds in the amount of $1,965.30 are hereby approved in the individual amounts for those named on the requests for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Draco, second by Counselor DeHaas. Any discussion on these? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries 8-0. Counselor Gonzalez absent. All right, moving right along. Next on the agenda, we have minutes from previous meetings. We do not have the minutes for the January 13th, 2026 regular meeting. Any issues or any questions about the special meeting? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the January 13th, 2026 special meeting.
So
Motion by Deputy Mayor Rada, second by Counselor Floyd. Any discussion on approving the minutes of the special meeting? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed or abstention? All right, motion carries 8-0. Counselor Gonzalez absent. All right, next we have a couple of resignations. It's gonna be you guys. Counselor Floyd, will you do the first one? Sure.
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Jonathan Galligan as a member of the Economic Development Commission in accordance with the correspondence received on January 12th, 2026, and effective immediately.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Floyd, second by Counselor Draco. Any discussion on this? Counselor Draco?
Yes, I'd just like to say, I've, as liaison to the Economic Development Commission, Mr. Galligan has been a contributing member. He's showed up, he's came up with some good ideas, including like a new program. And he will be missed, but I understand the endeavor he's, I think it's a law school.
Yeah.
He's going into, so we wish him luck in that position, and hopefully he will, once he's a big time lawyer, he'll come back and economic determinant. Yes.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Floyd.
I'll just add to Counselor Draco, Jonathan has been a jolt of electricity to the
Yeah.
committee. I mean, a lot of members have been, but he has really like taken the ball and run with it in a lot of amazing ways, coming up with all kinds of new ideas for that commission as it's really stepped into itself. So he's a huge part of why that's happening, and we just thank him for his service. And wish him luck.
Agreed. All right, we had a motion by Counselor Floyd, seconded by Counselor Draco. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstained? All right, motion carries 8-0 with Counselor Gonzalez absent. Next resignation, Counselor Draco, would you like to do the honors?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby accepts the resignation of Geraldine Nagel as a member of the Central Connecticut Health District in accordance with the correspondence received on January 15th, 2026, and effective immediately.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Draco, second by Deputy Mayor Rada. Any discussion on this? Counselor Draco.
Yeah, I just want to say, Geraldine has been, an important member of this committee, and she's done, a good job representing Newington's needs for many, many years. And, again, she will be missed. I thank her for her service on this.
Thank you, Gerald. I'll echo that. Thank you for all your years of service on this. Alright. A motion by Counselor Draco, seconded by Deputy Mayor Rada. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries 8-0. Counselor Gonzalez absent. And we do have some appointments, and I will hand it over to Counselors Floyd and Budraco to. Oh, I think it's just you, Counselor Floyd.
That's all right. Resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby makes the following appointments. Board of Ethics, Kelly Baker, alternate member, address 62 Cedar Ridge Road, Party D, term immediate to 11/30/28, replaces de facto alternate. Development Commission, Todd Andrews, member, 24 Lamplighter Lane, Party D, term immediate to 11/30/28, replaces de facto member. Jennifer Morgenthau, alternate member, 17 Harris Drive, Party D, term immediate to 11/30/26, replaces vacancy Jonathan Galligan. Standing Insurance Committee, Robert Malucci Jr., alternate member, 212 Goodale Drive, Party D, term immediate to 11/30/27, replaces vacant alternate. Town Pools Project Building Committee, Eileen Francolino, Parks and Rec Rep, 116 Lydall Road, Party D, term immediate to 11/30/29, replaces vacancy.
Second.
Motion by Counselor Floyd, seconded by Counselor Tiniakis. Any discussion on these? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed or abstain? Motion carries 8-0 with Counselor Gonzalez absent. Congratulations on everybody being appointed to their positions. Yeah, that's nice, but I know. Yes. Yeah, he's up. I was like, who's Robert? What's up?
Hey, that's good. That's good.
All right, so moving on to consideration of new business. James is here tonight to give us a rundown on some of the boards and commissions and the review that we were looking to do.
And just before he gets in, just to set the table a little bit, this is a bugaboo of mine when I first was researching Newington, 2 years ago and trying to figure out which side was up. There were so many committees. And certainly like the website is it's just overwhelming, all the choices. So I think there was discussion at leadership one day about, hey, let's figure a way of just cleaning this up and consolidating it. I turned that over to James because he's really the subject matter expert on all things committees.
Thank you, sir. So yes, we do have way too many committees. I will definitely agree with you on that. Tracking them is always fun. So currently on our website, we track 66 different committees. Within the software, we track 63. I've recommended at least 19 coming off that website. You'll see those in the memorandum that was supplied in the packet. Now, something that I've been working on for a little while now, and we finally have it done, is the update to our Laserfiche repository, which is the software that I use when somebody asks me a question about what's happened in the past, and we can get that answer very quickly. So the proposal as part of this discussion on boards and commissions was, how much do we really need to have on our website versus how much do we need to have accessibility to? Website has become, well, bloated, we'll call it that. The commissions have been on there as a transfer from when we first put that website in place in 2017. Those committees were on there back to 2014. So as a conversation with the town manager, I propose moving those to be a current year and 2 years worth of committee minutes and agendas on there. Much easier to see, much easier to look through. The rest of that would go into our repository, and we would actually have a link on our website. It would be a public portal. Anybody could utilize it to keyword search anything they wanted to. South Windsor is one that does have that on their website. If you do want to see that, we can always show it to you. But it makes it very easy. You're looking for a keyword search, a specific topic, a type of record. As we put it into the repository, all of those have an OCR to them. So we can move the bulk off of it and keep the website much easier to view. If most of you have been on there, you've looked at the committees, you'll usually see 1, 2, 3, and then view more. Now we could have that 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So makes life a little bit easier. You will notice as part of the memorandum, I did make a couple of recommendations on a few of the commissions, not to say that I went into all of them. But when you start on one, you go down a rabbit hole to others. We'll start with the small little things that you find as you're looking through, and my recommendation was in the Standing Insurance Commission. We do have one incorrect statement, and what I am going to do is every even numbered year, we're required to codify our town code. I'm going to actually have that conversation with our code company to see about them correcting the language that is referenced in there, because right now that language referenced the 1985 charter, and we've gone through multiple revisions since then.
Sure.
And the reason for that is nobody's fault, other than the fact that we missed it going through. What happened was the town treasurer became a position under the finance director. Renumber that whole section, nobody realized it, and it just continued down the line. So part of their process for that codification is reviewing all the different language, making sure all the requirements are there, updating municipal leadership, all of those things. So we're going to make sure that they use that entire process to update the code and make sure it's all correct. Number 2 was conservation and inland wetlands, as well as environmental quality and open space. Now, these are bodies that sort of work integrally with each other. Now, conservation and inland wetlands is a very important board, and I wouldn't say that I would want to put more work onto them. So perhaps they stay as they are. Environmental quality and open space, maybe that is something for the council to look at combining as a single board so that they work off of each other. Environmental quality for land, open space recommendations as a council request. Those are good things to look at. I will say one thing, which I did not realize at the time. When I was reading the Conservation and Inland Wetlands Regulation, the town council is our municipal erosion and flood control board. So if you didn't know that, you do now. So the next 3 sort of tie into each other. And this is a conversation I actually had with the town planner last week before the snowstorm hit, regarding what my original memorandum to you was, which was the 830J requirements for boards and commissions to have a commission in place for an affordable housing plan. Well, the states decided it was going to change all that and repealed that under House, which was that, Public Act?
8002.
Thank you. I think I wrote that down here. Yes, repealed under HB 8002. So there are some pieces that we still do need to look at, because the Affordable Housing Monitoring Agency, while no longer technically authorized under that, is actually a commission that determines ownership and sales for Hopkins Village on Main Street. So it is something we need to look at. Maybe we need to restructure how that ordinance is placed currently, little language changes. It's something to think about, and it's something we can go over in more depth at another time. Housing Needs Study Committee was a committee that was created in 2014. And if I remember correctly, and I just want to confirm that, they did complete a report. And I did actually find that one, by the way. So that is a commission that I have not found a disbanding on. And it is a recommendation to disband that one specifically. And then the Affordable Age Restricting Housing Study Committee, they were in the process of doing a report back in 2006. I have not found where that is. That may be in the town planner's office. That may be in box in the basement. I can't say. As we discussed earlier, Open Space Committee and Inland Wetlands, take the inland wetlands out, make that specifically more of the environmental quality. I will say the open space one is a good one for one specific reason. And it, again, that a lot of times what happens when administrations change and boards change, we don't always catch these. So in 2015, when the Open Space Committee was reconstituted, so to speak, it was reconstituted again as a resolution, where by the charter, it should have been done as an ordinance. So that's just something to keep in mind as we look at either combining or removing committees. And then number 7 specifically ties into our project building committees as well as our permanent municipal building committees. Now, this is a long-term view on this one because we still have the Enema Reynolds Committee active. We still have the John Wallace Committee active. We have the Town Pools Committee, PBC committees active. So it wouldn't be recommended to disband and repeal this language yet, but once those committees have wrapped up, or if any of their work gets transferred over to the Permanent Municipal Building Commission, that would be the time to look at that language in section 8, 38 through 45 and repeal that so that we have the one single Permanent Municipal Building Commission that operates for the entire town. As you'll see, this was a general but somewhat specific overview. If you really want to get into a really in-depth look at all of these, I made the recommendation of, say, a 3-member board, literally going down through, looking at all of the creating language, what's changed over the years, looking at other towns around us, see how they do that, because sometimes you can get some really good ideas from things that you wouldn't expect, and creating that type of a review board, which would again come back to the council. The council would make the determination whether or not to make those changes. And of course, something to think about going that route is it's not cheap because we've got all of our public hearings for that, advertising. So it is something we need to think about and plan for if we were to move ahead in that vein. But other than that, any questions? There was a lot, I know.
Council Floyd.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, James, for this. It's a long time coming, so so thank you for doing some work to do this, and I definitely support us as a council going through this list of your recommendations and considering, you know, ways that charges can be restructured or things may need to change. I want to focus on that though, because I think you named a lot of commissions that do serve some pretty important functions, if only on paper. And, you know, perhaps we need to think about how they're carrying out their charge. But there are a lot of really important committees, like the Open Space Committee, like some of the housing committees could be quite important, like you mentioned, et cetera. One just recommendation I had was about the building committees. You mentioned, obviously, many of them are still active and, you know, we can't dismantle their charge, et cetera. Is there a way to just restructure their position on the site though, so that maybe there is a hyperlink on the page for the Permanent Municipal Building Commission as an indication that, you know, we have a building commission that takes capital projects, that these precede that, and therefore, you know, this is where they live, kind of thing?
I believe we can, through our website, create a sublink on that, but I'd have to check with IT to be more in depth on that one. We do create sub pages, but it's unusual to link them into a main page that way. We can talk on that and look and see what we can do.
That's helpful. And yeah, I'll just say that I support us going through these. I think it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort, and so I think we should look at this as a several month and
Much longer, I would
several
say.
year process. For us to go through, you know, in the Board of Education is exhaustively for years now going through every single one of their own policies.
Yes.
I think this is our version of that, going through these boards and commissions and reviewing their charges. I think it's going to take a lot of considerations and a lot of caution, but thank you for kicking the ball.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I agree with Councilor here. It's gonna be a long process. And your memo, you recommended the ordinance review subcommittee. I know it seems kind of funny to create a new committee. to look
Yeah,
at
I know the
committees,
irony
but
of
that's
it.
government. I think that's probably the best way to go. I think we should look at doing that probably the next time. Let's create a subcommittee and here we go. Let's create more committees to delete, you know,
Delete
addition by
committees.
subtraction. Yeah, you know, how we just. But I appreciate you being here tonight, James.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council?
Yeah, so I guess for the next meeting, we'll tee up a resolution to create the subcommittee
Review
ordinance.
subcommittee.
committee and go from there.
Sounds good.
James, just one.
Thank you. Yes.
The repository that you talked about,
Yes.
it's gonna be 2-year retention.
So the repository is going to be permanent retention.
Okay,
The website
Oh,
will
the-
have a
the
2-year
2-year,
retention and the current year that we're in. So at the end of each fiscal year, well, calendar year, sorry, we would take and we remove all the agendas and the minutes. We'd move them into the repository and the new year would start and the previous 2 years would be there.
that search though, let's say I want to go in and, I don't know, let's say Cedar Mountain or something. Would but I only want to focus on discussions that happened on TPZ and not like conservation or something. Will the search facility narrow it down by, commission?
Yes, so each of the boards and commissions will be listed in the minutes folder. Actually, are you able to pull that by any chance, Scott? Just southwindsor.org, it'll be right on their main page. So under the repository itself, as you go in, you'll see subtopics for each item. If you click into minutes, you'll see the subtopics of all the different boards and commissions broken down by the years. Then you can go in. So if you're in, say, just TPZ, you go up to your search, you'll go into there, you'll type your keyword, you'll indicate in that search that, so you'll see it on the bottom left side of those round buttons. Just scroll down slightly. So bottom one there.
It's funny how
Yes.
similar it looks. It's almost like there's. a
So hit
slight
browse in the upper left corner or search, sorry. Okay. So if you hit search on the top there. And I'm sorry, was there a browse? Can you go back for me for 1 second? I haven't played on, yeah, hit browse for me. Right next to search at the top.
Almost there, just below.
Browse.
So now you'll see the topics themselves. We'll click on minutes. And then you can select any of your boards and commissions.
Wow, they really trimmed it down, didn't they? Just the core 3.
Yeah. So then inside of this, you've got your verbatim minutes for this. So if you clicked into that, you'd be able to search through that. You can search through the document itself. You can search through the folders. You can see, if you click in the center point, plain view text is there. If you choose to copy that information, so we can reutilize text as we're using it. But you can go back through and you can search in the document or you can search in the repository area of that document. And that's of course difficult. The system doesn't know how to read handwriting, so you're going to see weird characters. So sometimes you'll go back in and you'll retype that information as what it says in the script. So I'd go in and I'd type that and say, I, Don M. Sansel, instead of I, squiggly lines, dot line. So that's what this would be. So anytime you're looking for that text, you're going to see the amount of hits and the page that it's on. And you click on each one of those, it will go to that page for you.
We can narrow the search before we start the search.
Correct. And that's how I do it in my office. So we've just updated that as of the 21st. We've got some setup that we need to do with general code and through our office. Once that's in place, we'll start the offloading from the website and having all of the records filed in there so everybody can search with them.
Take us into the 21st century.
We've had it
The
since
20th century.
2013, but we've just finally had the chance to make it work for us.
Land of steady habits.
I guess I just have one question in terms
Sure.
of retention. For retention, we follow state library guidelines? Or do
So
we
there are
have our
2
own?
state library retention schedules, one for state and one for municipalities. We follow municipalities, and we'll be loading those specifically in, so we'll be able to create workflows. So as a record comes in, we can set the retention policy for that, determine when it's ready to be destroyed. There's a few stages with that, and we've actually discussed that as part of my annual review. We're working on a digital retention policy for the town, which will be brought to you and then supplied to the state library once accepted by you. Once that comes to fruition, we can actually scan into the repository and destroy the paper record at that time.
Oh,
The
okay.
repository then becomes our permanent record.
Permanent record, okay.
Yeah, and then we have the ability to run reports and determine those records that can be destroyed. We keep the metadata to say what it was and when it was destroyed, but we have all those options built into the
Nice, yeah.
system.
Nice. Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Very good. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Moving on to item B, automatic traffic enforcement safety devices. That's
Yeah, so this is just following up on the, our presentation from last time. And I think, Lewis's comments, are, I think, very appropriate for this discussion, but really what I'd like is feedback from council about whether you would like me to proceed in drafting an RFP, and if so, to find a vendor that could assist us from sort of a turnkey solution, soup to nuts, to implement the automatic traffic enforcement safety devices, which I'm trying to use instead of red light cameras, as that's their technical name. So if it is council's wish to proceed with that, I'd like to get some feedback from you guys about what kind of things you'd like to see in the RFP besides the things that I've sort of listed in the memo. And certainly Lewis's comments about, how would you deal, for example, with the opaque shield over your license plate, or for example, what data can you provide to us about the efficacy of these traffic signals? Those kinds of things would be appreciated.
We'll open this up for comment or questions. Quiet.
There we go.
Counselor Tiniakis.
You have it here reporting in, analytics and stuff like that. So I guess it would be nice to get data on areas in the state that already have these types of devices implied, and just to see if we can get some concrete information about what impact they've had. Is there like a retention over a long period of time? Is it like just a short burst of change and then go back to normal? So just more information on that. The end goal being, a permanent change, not just kind of a short-term one.
Councilor Drago.
Yeah, also, do you have this is going just out for like a consultant, so this doesn't obligate us to anything, but do we know how much a consultant see?
Well, so based on the presentation last meeting, it's free. And so I think so at least the site stream, the presentation, they would do it for free. And my understanding is the other vendors that do this also do it for free. They just take a portion of the ticket fine revenue in the future to offset their costs for everything from engineering, design, permitting, as well as actually buying and installing the hardware. So the question.
RFP will not cost us any.
No. Well, I mean,
well, your time to create it.
Assuming that every vendor uses the same model. I'd start from that premise. Certainly issuing the RFP doesn't obligate us to spend any money. And we don't have anything budgeted for this, and there's nothing in the upcoming proposed budget that would have anything for this. The idea is, though, if this is, if there's no cost to us up front, then there's really no kind of budgetary impact from an expense standpoint. Now, with that said, I'm sure that vendor A maybe takes, 30% of the revenues, maybe, whereas vendor B might take 33% of the, there's differences like that we'd want to be aware of.
When you go out for the RFP, though, could we maybe as one of these bullets also get, anticipated impact on staffing in terms of, police or, positive, negative, whatever. And from each vendor that you go to, just some kind of metrics on, hey, we've done this in this community, which is of similar size, what it's done in terms of either reducing or whatever, some kind of backup to what they're proposing.
For sure. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Plug.
Thank you, Mayor. In addition to what the other councilors have mentioned, I'm glad to see that data privacy and protection is there, because I think that's very important and something we heard from the public quite a bit about. In addition, Lewis's comments, I think, are well taken about emergency vehicles and what policies are in place for instances where they're not on call and they are, in fact, going above the legal speed limit, how that's dealt with. And then obscurity of license plates and just how to deal with, like, what mitigation strategies are there for repeat offenders that are kind of taking these creative measures into their own hands. What policies are in place, or what policies do they recommend to departments they work with to put in place? Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Tiniakis.
This isn't specific as far as like an RFP request, but I remember, I think maybe about a year and a half ago, we got data about who's traveling on our main roads, whether there's like, just passerbyers or like local residents. So I think if we can get that information too, because I'm gonna assume that these are probably gonna go on our main streets like Cedar and things like that. So if we can have an idea about who's actually traveling on these roads, I think that's gonna be better for all of us to have just the context about who's actually going to be affected by these cameras.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions or comments from council? Counselor Nieves?
Yes, I was curious. I've got a couple of things that I've noted. The retention of the data and timeframes. You've noted, Jonathan, that there are different vendors. And so would it be different for, depending on the vendor you're going to be looking to reach out to or dealing with? The other question, the towns that already have them, and how many additional towns have applied to have them installed? And I think it's very important that and I believe that the vendor that spoke to us at the last town council meeting talked about a presentation to the public. I think that's really important. And how many vendors are there that deal with putting in, the red light cameras? We heard from one.
So there's 10.
10?
There's
Okay.
10 that have been reviewed by CROG that have been like, past the initial scan.
Okay, and the other thing, the sharing of data. I think there's a lot of concern in terms of privacy for individuals. And I think the individual that did the presentation at the last council meeting, if I remember correctly, he said something about it remains in their system. They hold on to it for 30 days. There was a time frame that he referenced. So those are my questions.
Counselor? Counselor Floyd?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also just add, within data protections and privacy, just data sharing policies with other agencies, with other, whether in town or elsewhere, the foiable nature of some of the data, et cetera.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions from council?
Yes.
Counselor Tiniakis?
Also, if we can get information about like liability, you know what I mean? So like if like one of these things were to be vandalized or broken, I want to say that they said that they would be the ones to repair it, but like just to have that kind of in writing would be nice.
Equipment maintenance, repair and replacement and liability.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So this is also just this is unique because normally when we do an RFP, we've budgeted funds, council has appropriated funds. And so you're basically asking, like, once council adopts the budget, you say, we would need a consultant to analyze parking and whatever. So, you've appropriated the funds, staff drafts the RFP, goes through Lauren, we issue it. And, we review all the metrics, and then based on, we award a contract. Normally that doesn't go through council just because you've appropriated money. Here, I feel like it's like a slightly different process. I do feel like on some level, it would be appropriate for at least one or two members of council to be on an RFP committee to review these and think these through, because it's no longer just, I think there's larger policy implications than merely, selecting an engineer for, no disrespect to engineers, but, it's as a larger kind of community impact than simply, just picking an engineer or a traditional professional service provider. So just a thought. And so maybe I'll just do leadership. I'll sort of, tap a couple of you on the shoulder.
Yeah, very good.
Councilor Draco?
Counselor Tiniakis is, use of the word liability just brought something to mind. I'm just curious if there were any, civil lawsuits filed, by false, whatever, whose responsibility, would that be fall on the town or would it fall on the vendor?
Good question. Very good. Questions from council? Very good. Thank you for
Thank
sort
you,
of
guys.
taking the ball on this and excited to see where we move forward. Thanks a lot. All right, moving on to written oral communication from town manager. Get your reports.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of things I wanted to highlight. First of all, kudos to everybody in town that was part of the snow removal operation over the weekend. Obviously,
Here,
they did fantastic job. You know, I sent Rob Hillman and Clay Pedigo a text at like 7:30 on Monday morning saying, hey, how did it go? And I couldn't believe that when Rob said, yeah, pretty much every road is now open and passable. I was flabbergasted by that. So they did have to go back. So, I mean, overall, there were really no issues that they highlighted. A couple of minor mechanical malfunctions, but they were able to get the vehicles back on the road pretty quickly. To the extent there was any issue overall, it was that there was a lot of people blowing with their snow blower, blowing snow from their driveway onto the street. And so as a result, highways had to do another pass late last night. Technically, it's illegal to blow, snow onto the street, but, we're not under the circumstances. It seems a little silly to ticket anybody for that. But it's, if there was any lesson learned, it was that just maybe be a little bit more forward in making residents aware of trying not to blow snow onto the street. So, overall, great. Now, there is I don't know if you guys are following this, but if you go onto either Weather Underground or Weather Channel, just the standard apps that you get, it says on Sunday, there's somewhere between flurries and 1 inch of accumulation. But evidently there is this I don't know if it's a rumor or what, but there is this fear amongst meteorologists that there's another 20-inch storm that's going to bear down on us on Sunday. Yeah.
One model does have a significance.
And I do have,
What a gig these people.
yes. So fingers very much crossed that we, because I don't know where the plows would put the snow, to the point if you go to Constitution Square and you see the piles, I mean, it's like a ski resort in the middle of Newington. Yeah, so something to watch. Some bad news. Do want to let you know, and the rumors have been out there for a little while, but the New Britain Herald will be running a story tomorrow or maybe the following day, but it will break that once that new a grocery store, the Market 32, I think it's called, at 3333 opens up, at Millyard opens up, the Price Chopper will close down. And in addition, the furniture store next to the Price Chopper will be closing down as well. So that whole shopping, obviously, we also lost the GameStop. Obviously, it's smaller, but essentially that shopping plaza is in peril right now. And obviously something that, a larger discussion. Now, with that said, I think it's important to stress, and Paul, who just left, speaks to developers all the time, and they reiterate the metrics for the Berlin Turnpike from a retail and restaurant standpoint are still very positive. And so, hopefully somebody will swoop in, but obviously we're going to have a big hole in that plaza. Happier note, Volunteer of the Year. We put an ad out for nominations for both you guys and other boards and commissions. Haven't had any nominations. Technically, the deadline is Saturday, the 31st. Obviously, that's a deadline is flexible, but if you do have any nominations for people who've gone above and beyond this year, please get them to me and we'll look to make some awards shortly. Big shout out to 3 stalwarts of the town that have either recently retired or given notice to retire. First, highway foreman Dave Farley left town employment probably about 2 weeks ago. Dave was with us for, I think, 40 years. Very humble man, did not want to be feted by council, but still I'd like to highlight his many years of service. Similarly, Steve Tofelt, who's a 25-year veteran of the grounds department and a foreman in that department, who also gave his notice. His last day is in another week, I think. really, really nice guy, will be missed, but obviously he deserves a happy and long retirement. Also didn't want to be feted by council, but I wanted to embarrass him in this form a little bit. And last but not least, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is this, you all know, Bill DeMayo gave his notice. We now have an ad on the street to replace him. At the same time, we have been making a flurry of offers for other positions. I'm excited that Sam Fletcher, who works the Board of Ed, in their their finance department, will be joining us as the Deputy Director of Finance in a couple of weeks. And we've also made 2 offers to 2 new rec supervisors to replace folks who either have left or will be leaving soon. So we're really excited about some of the changes afoot. Oh, and we also actually offered for a planning technician position as well earlier today, and I'm excited about him as well.
Excellent.
Next meeting, February 10th, next council meeting, we'll need to do a joint meeting with the PMBC. So from the PMBC ordinance, one of the first steps is there'd be a joint meeting. We probably will do that at like 6 o'clock or 6:30. I gotta, figure that out, but we'll do that in addition to the regular meeting. And then it looks like, based on the doodle poll results, that Monday, March 2nd, 3 o'clock is the best date for the majority of you to do a tour of first the highway garage, then the grounds garage, and finally NEMS. And I've coordinated with Rob Hillman, Clay, and with Carolyn S. at NEMS for you guys to be properly shown around those facilities. So please mark that on your calendar, and I'll send out a formal email tomorrow morning. Monday, March 2nd at 3 o'clock. Also want to let you know that last week, a team of me, Lauren, and Janet started negotiations with the police union. Their contract expires on June 30th. So I had a nice productive kickoff meeting with them. A lot to work through with both Jared Lucan as well as Janet running numbers. But hopefully we come to a fair and responsible contract agreement with them. And then last but not least, I'll also send this to you on tomorrow morning, but there is going to be an online workshop hosted by the Connecticut Small Towns Organization of Small Towns Cost, as well as all of the Connecticut Councils of Government about the HB 8002. It's going to be on this Friday from 9 to 10:30. It's all online. I'll send you the information. Paul will be coming back to council in the next month or two to give a presentation on a couple of things, including what we need to do with respect to that legislation. A bunch of moving parts, but it might be a good way for you to familiarize yourself with the legislation as we start to think as a town about how to implement it here. And that's all I have.
Thing on Friday, for those of us that work, do you know if it's going to be videotaped or available? Is it going to be a live presentation?
I don't know. I'll, it's in the email though. I'll send it out and it'll be clear what.
Thank you.
Councilor Floyd?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jonathan. Just one question about the Price Chopper Plaza. I think it's disappointing to hear. Have there been any discussions with the property owner itself about any bites that they're getting, any calls that they've been fielding to fill any of those?
I know that Eric has had some sort of conversations, but I don't know that I don't know that I could publicly, I don't think, yeah, but certainly we can discuss, kind of thoughts on that a little bit.
Thank you.
Any other questions from folks? All right, thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate the report. All righty, moving on to council liaison reports. Councilor Draco.
Tomorrow there at the TPZ meeting, there'll be a public hearing on the Lewis Street proposal it's an 830G application as submitted. So far, the application plans 41 units with 13 set aside as affordable units. So the public hearing is tomorrow at 7 o'clock, and I know a lot of people have had questions about it, so it'd be good to tune in if you can. If not, the actual plan itself is available on the town planner's website. Secondly, the fire department building committee for Station 4 had a meeting, and there was a presentation by Robert Roach of Fryer Associates, who's the architect. And he met with staff and for an on-site visit, talking about their needs, and his initial conceptual presentation was that there would be 2 floors. On the first floor would have an 2 apparatus bays, plus room for apparatus and gears. I mean, 2 fire truck bays, and then a room for apparatus and gear storage and some offices. And the second floor would have male and female changing rooms, bathroom facilities, a day room and a kitchen. And the next, there's a lot of unknowns with the site itself in terms of PCBs, asbestos, ground contaminants, whatever. So it will be something to consider. It's unknown now, but they do plan at this point for complete demolition of the existing building and a rebuild, because it just, with the space needs and the needs of the fire department, rehabbing the existing building just is not going to be able to meet the needs. The next step is for fire to go back and give some realistic cost estimates for this project.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Tiniakis.
Yeah, last week, Parks and Rec had met for the first time of the new year. As Jonathan had mentioned, Bill formally spoke about his retirement. That was good. They went through a slew of events that they had done since they had met. So Night of Lights, they spoke about getting ready for their concert series that's coming up. So they have a lot working out. There's a few staff changes within the Parks and Rec department. So everyone's kind of getting adjusted to their new roles, and they're getting ready to work with whoever might be replacing Bill. So they're so moving forward with that. Our town pools committee met last night. I thought we had a good meeting. We went over a few questions that were asked in the previous meeting by the committee members to our representatives from Weston Sampson. The committee itself agreed that they're going to move forward with going with 2 pools as our focus, as opposed to just choosing one. And then we spoke a little bit about our next steps moving forward, funding, things of that nature. So that committee is also up and running too.
Counselor. Counselor Plord.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just mention that the mayor, Councilor Draco, and myself attended a tour of Connecticut K-9 together with the Permanent Municipal Building Commission just last week, and had a really, I think, productive visit of the facility. Got to understand a little bit more of the condition that it's in, the opportunities that might be available at a space like that. And I know the Permanent Building Commission is going to continue considering that as proposal and, present something to us at some point when their work is completed. So just wanted to mention that.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other? Counselor DeHaas.
So at the last Board of Ed meeting, something that I was happy to hear, and I think everybody else here would be happy to hear, is that the previous budget is being translated into the new format they're using for the current budget. So a direct comparison between the two will be possible.
Excellent.
So I know that made me happy. And it's something they're currently working through, so it's not complete yet, but I think she anticipated having it ready to go.
For next
the
week.
fourth.
Awesome.
Yep.
It is good news. Thank you. Any other
Well,
updates? Counselor Draco?
it's not, I guess it was announced today that Steve Parisi will be
Yes.
leaving.
Oh, is that official? Okay.
It came out,
Yeah, they had something.
it was on
It was
Facebook.
on Facebook.
There was
Facebook
a
official, right?
newspaper.
Yeah.
There was like a newspaper.
Oh, was it really?
announcement.
Okay, yeah.
And
Well,
congratulations.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, the new assistant superintendent is going to be Dan Diaz, who's the
Oh.
principal at John Wallace.
Oh,
Yeah,
so wait, so.
News Time posted it this morning.
Oh, okay. So wait, but is Dan gonna be double duty or is he gonna?
No, they're, Vice Principal Marco Trill is going to be
Gonna
elevated.
be
to
elevated. That's
interim
good for Marco.
principal.
Okay, that's
It's a
great.
good move. It's a great move.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Wish
there's a lot.
Steve the best.
Yeah.
But we're excited
Long
for-
legacy of service.
For sure,
Wish him the
for sure.
best.
Very good. All right. Moving right along.
Next is public participation again, in general. If you're in the room or over Zoom and like to speak again in public participation, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, or use the raise hand function on Zoom. I will alternate. And we got one on Zoom. You go right ahead, Ms. Lyons.
Hi, Rose Lyons, 46 Elton Drive. This has really been challenging for me tonight. First of all, on the landline, trying to hit the 6 and the 9, and then trying to watch on NCTV with no audio, and then going to my computer to YouTube, and my computer won't let me turn up the audio. So we're back to the landline. I just wanted to thank James for the wonderful presentation that he gave. And he made my day by mentioning that there may be some search bar in the future that I can just type a keyword into and get to where I want to be and do what I want to do. I don't know if I'm so happy about him reminding me about the flood control, because I have slacked off with DEEP on that, but I'll put that on my to-do list. I wasn't able to attend the last Rules Committee meeting, and I don't know when the next one is, but I'm going to try to, at least, because I do want to speak to the fact, again, about these letters being read into the record, have a uniform way of doing it, and if there's only one or two, I don't see any reason why they can't be read in. The other thing I thought of after Eric's presentation, as I had mentioned, I believe, it'd be nice to have a little public participation after the presentations, especially ones like blight, because there's a lot of people that have questions. Not that many are going to show up, I'm sure, but just a thought. The other thing was the EOC project. I know we got notices on Facebook and things like that to call different numbers and little bits and pieces of things. But when I called the number for updates, the recording was from December. I don't know, I'm a little bit leery with everything going on as to what our plan is. Is there a plan, and could we possibly have an update on what's going on, not only with the building, but with what we should expect to be informed about and how we can get to it in an easy way? I want to give a shout out to our highway workers and anyone else who may have participated with the snow removal. I know this is a dead-end street, and I have never seen as many trucks back up and down the street as there were over the weekend, and I thank them for that. And I don't know if anybody else is going to mention it, but I usually put it out on my Facebook page. Please, please, please clear the fire hydrants. It's not just the responsibility of the people that live adjacent to those or next to the fire hydrants to do it. We have elderly people on this street, including myself. Fortunately, I don't have the fire hydrant, but we have people that are physically able to do it and some that aren't. So if you know that there's someone on your street that has a fire hydrant on their property and you don't see it cleared, please clear it. It's just remember the house you save may be your own, and it's going to be a very expensive weekend. If what Jonathan said about that storm, which I hadn't known about, we're going to have another storm like we just had. I think it cost me about $250 to get done what I needed to get done around here, but it was satisfying to me to know that I was able to get out. Sunday night, I couldn't even push my doors open, but by last night, everything was cleared out. So everybody stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room? Come on up.
I'm Louis Nero at 482 Churchill Drive. I just wanted to say definitely town crews did a good job. I'm glad I'm no longer an essential employee, because we used to be the mechanics that have to fix the plow trucks. So we used to have to go into work on these big storms. I'm glad I don't have to do that anymore. So I just wanted to make just I don't know, just wanted to speak on this behalf. I know we had a meeting a long time ago about doing a development plan on Lowry and doing all along there to shorten up. And basically they were talking about doing sidewalks and pedestrian things, which I kind of agree with. But the things what we have to think about is like when we have these big storms, and I think a lot of people are seeing it now, the roadways are very narrow. And they're always talking about trying to make the streets more narrow and make it more pedestrian friendly for everybody. But if you have with this much snow, you have two cars going by and you have emergency vehicles going by, they're not gonna get by. I know during the summer when it's all nice and shiny out, everyone just says, oh, yeah, the roads are too wide and we gotta make them narrow. We can make them narrower to reduce speeds. But when we have something like this, now you have people pulling out to try to edge out and you have no room to go through there. That's just gonna be a safety hazard that I just wanted to just bring up, that because we've had the snow, it's fresh on our minds that when we do these development projects, the engineers are smart. They will sometimes bring up some of the stuff, but they forget about the variables sometimes. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Coming out something. Anybody else in the room or over Zoom that would like to speak in public participation? Seeing none. We'll move on to remarks by counselors. Any comments from council? Counselor Tiniakis?
Yeah, to address Ms. Lyons' concerns, yeah, the Rules and Procedures Committee met last month. And we do have in the workshop how we're going to address correspondence, and it's very similar to what you had insinuated. So we're thinking about putting a number to it, and if it falls within a threshold, we'll read the full letter out. If it exceeds a threshold, then we'll just make a mention of it. So our next meeting is not on the books yet, but we will figure that out tonight. We can roll that over a little bit, and then yeah, hopefully you can make it to the next one there.
Thank you, Councilor. Deputy Mayor Rada?
Yes, Louis, just wanted to speak out. I appreciate and I, on behalf of the council, want to thank you for your concerns and for the questions that you raised. These are important. We listen, we take them seriously. So I know we ask people all the time, please come and participate, you know, on whatever format possible. It's not always easy, and you're in the spotlight, but just wanted to let you know that I really appreciated what you had to say tonight. And we hope that you continue to come and voice your concerns, your suggestions. We want to hear what you have to say.
Deputy Mayor. I just want to reiterate what's been stated tonight about our highway department and the amazing job that they did. Particularly want to shout out one very, very kind plow driver who happened upon my street as I was struggling through the end of my driveway, who curved in and scooped out the end of my driveway. Very, very much appreciative to that gentleman. Thank you so much. We have the best highway department and the best plow drivers in the state. I'm sure of it. So I appreciate all the work. Please send our best to Rob and the team.
I hope that one plow driver doesn't think we do personnel. That's what they're
No,
trying to do.
he didn't know who I was. I was bundled up, man. He had no clue. So it was very, very kind of him. Thank you.
I reiterate what you just said. I work in Hartford and was driving through the streets in Hartford. Yeah, you're not, yeah. Our town is far and above what I had to drive on today. So yeah, absolutely. We have the best around.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. All righty. Moving on to informational items. I think there are any. Update, no. Winter Fest was awesome if you were there.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great time.
I was just gonna say something.
It was a great time. Winter Fest always is. All righty, we're at that time. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Council Plord,
Second.
second by Council DeHaas. Any discussion on adjournment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstain? All right, motion carries unanimously. Councilor Gonzalez absent. We are adjourned, 8:04 PM. Great meeting, everybody.